When someone walks out of your life or chooses to lose you, it can sting. It can make you question everything about yourself. You start replaying every moment, every conversation, wondering if maybe you weren't enough, if maybe you could have done more, said more, given more. That's the trick pain plays on your mind. It makes you believe that their inability to recognize your value somehow diminishes it. But here's the truth. Your worth is not dependent on who notices it. It never was. Think about it. If you had a diamond sitting in your pocket and someone mistook it for a piece of glass, would that diamond suddenly lose its value? Of course not. It would still be rare, still be precious, still hold the same brilliance, whether someone else recognized it or not. And that's you. You're the diamond. The fact that someone couldn't see it only reveals more about them than it ever does about you. The danger is when you start buying into their blindness, when you confuse their lack of recognition with a lack of worth. That's where people get stuck, trying to prove, trying to convince, trying to hand over evidence of their own value to someone who's already shown they can't see it. You don't have to convince the wrong person. You don't have to bend, shrink, or over-explain yourself to fit into their narrow view. Because what happens when you do that is you end up lowering your own standard, just to be accepted by someone who doesn't even deserve a front row seat in your life. And here's something else to think about. When they lost you, they didn't just lose a person. They lost the patience you brought, the kindness you gave, the effort you poured in, the loyalty you carried. They lost the version of themselves that was better because you were standing next to them. They lost the opportunities to grow through your support, the chances to celebrate through your joy, the comfort of knowing someone had their back even on their worst days. That's not a small thing to lose. That's a gift they treated as ordinary when it was extraordinary all along. So don't ever sit there and think, well, maybe I wasn't enough. You were more than enough. You were consistent in a world that's inconsistent. You were genuine in a world full of masks. You showed up when others would have walked away, and they couldn't recognize it, or maybe they took it for granted, or maybe they thought you'd always be there no matter how carelessly they treated you. But now they know, and when regret sets in, it hits hard because they realize what they let slip through their fingers can't be replaced. Here's the part that matters most. Your worth doesn't increase when they regret you, and it doesn't decrease when they ignore you. It stays the same. Their actions don't define it. Their blindness doesn't erase it. Their choices don't rewrite it. And when you understand that, when you truly anchor yourself in that truth, you stop chasing after people who can't see. You stop handing mirrors to the blind, begging them to notice what's right in front of them. You stand tall, knowing that the right eyes will see, the right heart will value, and the right soul will never risk losing you. So if you're wrestling with the thought that maybe you weren't enough, let me tell you one last time, your worth was never up for negotiation. It's steady, it's constant, it's unshaken by their recognition or their regret. And if they couldn't see it, that's not your loss, it's theirs. Regret is a heavy thing, and when someone loses you, it eventually finds its way back to them. Maybe not right away, maybe not when they thought they had other options, but sooner or later it hits. That moment of silence when they realize your presence isn't there anymore, when the text they used to ignore doesn't light up their phone, when the voice that once calmed their storms has gone quiet, that's when the regret creeps in. But here's what you have to understand. That regret is not yours to carry. It doesn't belong to you, and it's not your job to lighten the weight of it. Too many times, people feel that tug of sympathy when someone who hurt them finally shows up with teary eyes and broken words, saying, "I didn't realize what I had." And in that moment, you feel tempted to soothe them, to comfort them, to take away the sting of their regret. But if you do that, you rob them of the very thing they need to learn, because regret is supposed to sting. It's supposed to ache. It's supposed to press into them the reality of what they lost. And if you rescue them from it, you're not helping, you're enabling. You see, regret is their teacher, not your responsibility. It's the mirror they have to face when they remember how they treated you, when they recall the moments they dismissed your love, when they recognize that loyalty like yours doesn't come around twice. That burden is theirs to carry, and if they're uncomfortable, if they're restless, if they can't sleep at night thinking about what they lost, let them sit with that. Don't soften it, don't absorb it, don't let their regret become the chain that pulls you back into a cycle you already fought hard to break. The truth is, people often confuse kindness with obligation. Just because you have a good heart doesn't mean you're required to give someone another shot after they broke it. Just because they regret losing you doesn't mean you have to return. Regret is not the same thing as change. Tears are not the same thing as transformation. An apology is not the same thing as accountability. And if you confuse their regret with genuine growth, you'll end up repeating the same heartbreak in a different season. And I'll tell you this, when they come back, regret in hand, they're not thinking about what's best for you. They're thinking about the comfort you gave, the stability you brought, the way your presence filled a void in them they now can't ignore. But you've grown since then. You've healed scars they gave you. You've rebuilt pieces of yourself they once broke. Don't undo that progress by stepping back into a place where your worth wasn't seen until it was gone. It's not your role to ease the sting of their choices. It's not your responsibility to make their regret feel lighter. In fact, you honor yourself by letting them carry it. You honor your growth by refusing to step back into old patterns. And you honor your future by making room for someone who doesn't need to lose you in order to see your value. So when their regret shows up at your door, remember this: you don't owe them a rescue, you don't owe them relief, and you don't owe them a second chance. Their regret is theirs to bear, not yours to fix. When someone who hurt you comes back with regret in their eyes, it's easy to get caught up in the pull of familiarity. You remember the good moments, the laughter, the times when things felt right. Your heart whispers, maybe it will be different this time. But here's the hard truth: second chances often repeat the same pain, because unless a person has truly changed at their core, they will fall right back into the same patterns that pushed you away in the first place. Think about it. When someone shows you who they are, how they handle conflict, how they treat your heart, how they value your presence, you can't erase that. You can't pretend it didn't happen just because they suddenly realize they miss you. History has a way of leaving footprints, and those footprints are warnings. They're reminders that love isn't about recycling the same brokenness and calling it healing. Love is about consistency, and if they weren't consistent before, what makes you think regret suddenly makes them capable of it now? People often confuse regret with growth. Regret says, I feel bad I lost you. Growth says, I've changed so I'll never risk losing someone like you again. And the space between those two things is huge. Regret is emotion. Growth is action. Regret is temporary. Growth is permanent. And too many people mistake tears, apologies, or desperation for proof of change, when in reality, they're just signs of loss. If you let regret masquerade as growth, you set yourself up for the same cycle. Hurt, forgive, repeat, and every time you do, the pain cuts a little deeper, because now you know better. Now you can't say you didn't see the signs. And what does that do to you? It chips away at your trust in yourself. It makes you second guess your ability to walk away. It teaches you to settle for promises instead of proof. That's the danger of taking someone back just because they regret. And here's something no one likes to admit. When you take them back too quickly, you teach them that your boundaries bend. You teach them that they can mishandle your heart, walk away, and still get access whenever they want. And that doesn't just hurt you, it cheapens your value in their eyes. They stop respecting what they once lost because they know they never really lost it at all. But when you stay firm, when you let their regret stay theirs, you protect yourself from repeating history. You give yourself permission to build something new instead of recycling what was broken. You remind yourself that love isn't supposed to be a gamble, where you hope the same hand that burned you won't do it again. Love is supposed to be safe, steady, and rooted in respect. So before you even consider taking them back, ask yourself, are you responding to real growth or just temporary regret? Are you stepping into a new chapter, or are you rereading the same painful story with a different cover? Because you deserve more than promises, you deserve patterns, you deserve consistency. The truth is, second chances with the wrong person rarely bring healing. They just bring a repeat performance of the same heartbreak. And you don't need to live the same pain twice just to prove it was real the first time. Walking away is never easy. It takes courage to leave behind something familiar, even when it's unhealthy. It takes strength to close the door on someone you once opened your entire world to. And the hardest part, it often looks like you're being cold or heartless when in reality, you're protecting yourself. Because when you choose not to take someone back after they've shown you who they are, you're not being cruel. You're preserving your peace. And peace is priceless. Peace is the thing you can't fake. It's the quiet in your chest when you wake up in the morning without anxiety, without replaying the same arguments in your head, without wondering when the next letdown is coming. It's the ability to breathe without bracing yourself for disappointment. And the moment you step back into a relationship that already fractured you once, you risk losing that peace all over again. We like to tell ourselves, maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe they'll finally understand. Maybe things will finally settle. But how many maybes do you have to live through before you realize that hope can't be the only glue holding things together? If they've already disrupted your peace before, chances are they'll do it again. And every time you let them, you trade away a little bit more of your sanity, your clarity, your calm. That's too high a price to pay for someone who only realized your worth after they lost it. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're unforgiving or bitter. It means you've learned to prioritize your well-being over someone else's comfort. It means you've decided that your mental health, your emotional stability, your joy, and your freedom matter more than holding onto someone who couldn't honor them. And if someone wants to label that as selfish, let them. Because the truth is, protecting your peace is one of the most selfless things you can do for yourself and for the people who truly deserve the best version of you. And let's be honest, peace is hard to find in this world. Everything pulls at you: work, responsibilities, noise, expectations. When you finally carve out peace in your personal life, it's sacred. You can't afford to let someone who already fractured it come back in and break it again. Walking away is not about punishing them. It's about preserving you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stay gone. Because going back to them doesn't just risk your peace, it risks your growth. You've healed wounds they left. You've built strength from the pain. You've created a life where you no longer have to walk on eggshells or question your worth. Why trade all of that just to give them another chance to dismantle it? Here's the bottom line: protecting your peace will always feel better than entertaining their regret. Because their regret is temporary, but your peace, that's what carries you forward. That's what lets you sleep at night. That's what allows you to show up fully for yourself and for the people who truly value you. So when you're tempted to go back, remember this: walking away doesn't make you heartless. It makes you wise. And wisdom will always lead you closer to peace. Love should never feel like begging. It should never feel like standing outside a locked door, knocking, hoping someone finally lets you in. Yet so many people get stuck in that place, waiting, pleading, proving themselves, just to be noticed by someone who should have cherished them from the start. Real love doesn't require you to beg. Real love recognizes your worth without you having to hold up signs pointing to it. When you're in a relationship where you constantly have to ask for attention, for effort, for respect, that's not love. That's survival. That's you trying to stretch yourself thin to make up for what they refuse to give. And the truth is, every time you beg for the bare minimum, you're teaching yourself to settle for less than you deserve. You're teaching yourself that scraps are good enough, when deep down you know they're not. And here's the thing, someone who truly values you doesn't make you question your place in their life. They don't wait until you've had enough to suddenly act like they care. They don't disappear when it's inconvenient and reappear when regret sets in. They show up consistently. They make the effort every single day, not just when they're afraid of losing you. Love is supposed to be steady, not conditional. If someone only realizes your worth once you're gone, that tells you everything you need to know. It means your presence was never fully appreciated. It was assumed, and being assumed is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. You were giving, you were loyal, you were patient, and they treated that as if it was guaranteed. But here's the reality, nobody is guaranteed. You're not replaceable, and if they couldn't see that when they had you, why should you hand them another chance to miss it all over again? Begging for love also erodes something deeper. It chips away at your dignity. It puts you in a position where you're asking for what should have been freely given. And once you start losing your dignity in the name of keeping someone, you also start losing yourself. You stop recognizing the strong, confident, worthy person you are because you're too busy trying to convince someone else to see it. That's the danger of begging. It makes you forget you never had to beg in the first place. Love isn't about proving, it's about being yourself and being valued for it, being seen without having to shout, being respected without having to demand it, and the right person won't need to be reminded of that. They won't let you slip into silence, they won't let you fade into the background, and they won't risk losing you to realize your worth. They'll know it, they'll feel it, and they'll treat it like the gift it is. So when someone comes back, full of regret, saying they finally see your value, remember, love doesn't wake up late. Love shows up on time, and you deserve someone who shows up without hesitation, without conditions, without making you beg. Because at the end of the day, real love doesn't make you chase it. It meets you where you are. The people who are truly meant for you don't gamble with your presence. They don't take the risk of losing you just to realize what they had later. They know, right here and right now, that you matter. They know the value you bring into their lives, and they treat you like the treasure you are, not an option, not a convenience, but a priority. That's the difference between someone who regrets losing you and someone who refuses to lose you. When someone is right for you, you don't have to wonder where you stand. You don't have to guess whether you're important to them, or if you're just filling empty space until something better comes along. The right people show you with consistency. They're present when it's easy and when it's hard. They don't vanish when life gets messy, and they don't let pride or stubbornness get in the way of treating you with care. That's how you know, not by the words they say when they feel guilty, but by the way they move when nothing is on the line. And here's what makes it powerful. The right people don't wait until regret forces them to act. They value you in real time. They show gratitude for your presence, not in hindsight, but in every moment they get with you. They check in, they listen, they put in effort. They do the little things that tell you, without a doubt, that you matter. Because to them, your presence is not guaranteed. It's a gift, and they treat it like one. That's what you deserve, not someone who comes back with empty hands and a heavy heart, asking for another chance because they finally realized what you were worth. You deserve the one who never lets it get that far, the one who notices you before you leave, the one who chooses you every day, not just when fear of loss wakes them up. And if someone couldn't do that, then their regret doesn't qualify them to stay. Their remorse doesn't earn them another shot. because the right person doesn't need regret to remind them of your value. They already see it, they already honor it, and they never risk losing it in the first place. The truth is, people who are meant for you will protect your bond. They'll fight for it when it's threatened, they'll nurture it when it feels fragile, and they'll celebrate it when it's thriving. They don't leave your side and then ask to return once they feel the emptiness. They never let you slip away, because they know someone like you doesn't come twice. And I know, it's tempting to listen to regret when it shows up, to hear their apologies, their promises, their longing for another chance. But remember, anyone can regret, not everyone can value, and regret without value is empty. It's temporary, it fades. Value is what sustains. Value is what keeps people from ever letting you go in the first place. So don't confuse the two. Don't let regret dress itself up as love, because love is consistent, and love doesn't gamble. The ones who are right for you won't risk losing you just to realize how much you mattered. They'll show you every day in the present that you matter. The right people don't let you slip away, and you should never go back to the ones who did.